got this new vibe within me, keeping Isaacs and praising Jehovah. You said you knew what's right for me, and people should wait and see. But all that you do was stress for me, my friends and my family. I should have never given love to a viper. Got to leave them frustrations alone. I didn't know that you were a sniper. I am better off on my own. I should have never given love to a trickster who would play with my feelings for fun. I've got nothing to do with a shyster who would take all my money and run. Leave me alone. Let me be. Let Jah pour out His blessings on me. When will they learn? Truly, only Jah rule my destiny. I know that you can't be serious when you said you want papers on me. Things that you do makes me furious. Temptation to put me through. I should have never given love to a viper. Got to leave them frustrations alone. I didn't know that you were a sniper. I am better off. I should have never given love to a trickster who would play with my feelings for fun. I've got nothing to do with a shyster who would take all my money and run. Ooh, now that you've gone and left me and taken my kindness for weakness, you thought I'd be done. Stressed out on this road, I'm determined to try. Some time ago, you told me all the love that we shared was forever. Only your love that keeps me.
Hi there, Marva.
Hey, Avril, how are you?
Okay, I'm just trying to see why I feel like I'm trying to find me on social media.
Oh,
Yes, I'm trying to find me there. Let me see. Give me 1 minute to see why I feel that we're there, but it's not public.
let me see if I can get myself centered. Lopsided. Okay, I think that's good enough.
Okay. Let's see what Facebook gonna show us tonight
That's
because
on Facebook, Tennessee.
we're live. We're live. We're coming up, people. We're here. Get ready because when it comes to this part of Facebook, we know that you can hear me loud and clear, right?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So as we get ready, huh?
I see us on Facebook. Yeah. Okay, there you go.
Yes, we're there.
Figure it out.
I wonder if we're able to share this the way that I think I would see. Right now, we're coming up. We're live here with Marva, who's gonna give us the experts. I'm not an expert, so I got to bring the expert to you, my people. And let me see. If you can see us, I can see us. And okay. How was your day, Marva?
I had a fantastic day. Was heavy, but nevertheless, it got done so far.
Well,
It was
listen,
indeed a good
it's
day.
not much people can say they had a fantastic day. So I'm just trying to.
Share it to my feed, share it to my page.
Okay. Yes, it says Martha shared. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that we're there. I can see it, and we're back here now. Okay. So the hate shared, and we're here, and most of the time, I know it's all about the page and not the Avril Francis anymore. But when things are free, it's never, when you're getting things for free. Facebook started out where it was free and it's excited us and it tell us all that we can do and we can go live and we can do all these great things. But I think I understand why they start doing what they're doing to us as a people. It's not free anymore. It's not free anymore. You gotta pay for what you're getting like everybody else, but the free is limited. But tonight we're here, we're not here to discuss Facebook because everybody know that Facebook is not free anymore, especially when you're doing what you're doing. I was watching a live feed the other day, and the person that had the live feed, and I went to look at it, and I was very shocked of the views that the person had. And I said, if that person did that show 2 days ago, somebody as known as the person that did the feed. Good evening, Problem Fips. I realized that Facebook have cut back a great deal on us getting our free shows. So I decide that I don't mind if they want us to pay. That's what it's all about. Nothing is free, but we're here tonight and we're going to discuss some. We're going to have a conversation here tonight. And I know, Marva, you are more of an expert than I am. I could only give you my feel. You can correct me. But tonight we are going to talk about some issues. And I wrote down some notes, that someone said to me. And I just want to ask you.
Okay, what did they say to you?
You're ready. We're ready to talk. Because
Yeah, that's our conversation. And so Avril said she's not an expert, but this subject matter, it doesn't take an expert. And so we are all experts. To have the conversation, it's just for everybody, men, women, children, to get the awareness of what is going on. So the expert really is the ones that will be there to be the care team, right? But in terms of the awareness, I think we've all been traumatized in some ways by abuse. So something that we've seen may not have happened to us, but we have seen it or heard about it, right? So as long as you've seen and heard about it, it means that you have been affected by it. Whether you're seeing it in the media or hearing about it in the media, you're seeing it happening with your family, you're seeing it in your community, you've heard about it down the generations. It has affected just about every person who of some understanding about abuse in some way or form or another. So we can begin to, and I really appreciate Avril bringing up this conversation today, because we sort of put abuse and domestic violence into one little month, like everything else. And so we preach it up for that specific month, and then it goes by the wayside and we don't bring up the subject matter again. And it's so vital that we all just have this conversation, not that we're forcing anybody to do something about their situation, but to really bring light to it and to let those who are going through know that we see and we're here and to listen, to help, to guide, to do whatever they need us to do in that situation, because it is on the rise. It is said that because of the pandemic, the rise is at least 30% in some areas. February of this year, I mean, that month alone, and that's a month for lovers, but it wasn't. There was so much abuse occurring in that particular month, at least 30 something percent in many, many states and worldwide. It's a worldwide problem that we have.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you say it's amazing that they created these months where they say is substance abuse or abuse month or what you call it, domestic abuse. You
Domestic violence,
know,
or it can be called intimate partner violence,
hmm
right? So,
okay.
intimate partner violence.
Yeah, intimate partner violence. Good evening, Tanika. Good evening to you.
Hi,
Um,
everyone.
yes, it's funny you said intimate partner abuse.
Mhm.
Which one do you consider intimate partner abuse?
Well, it's
Intimate, that means you're intimate with the person.
you are actually intimate with the person. And so this is somebody that you care about. This is somebody that you love. This is somebody that you only want the best for, but you're being abused by that person.
Okay, you see the word abuse, it's such how can I say? It's a broad word
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times people says, oh, she's crazy or he's crazy. Why is she in a relationship when she knows she's being abused, or he is in a relationship knowing that they are being abused? My problem is that I don't think that a person know they are abused and enjoying abuse. Okay, for me, I said to someone, you know you are abused when you start feeling pain, whether it's from the verbal, the physical, the down talking, which is verbal. But anyhow you look at it, you know you are abused when it start affecting you, where you're uncomfortable. It bringing you sadness, it bringing you tears, it bringing you sleepless nights. You're not happy about it. It cannot be love. It has to be abuse. That's what I call it. Because people feel that you're only abused when the man or the woman is physically attacking you, beating you. That's when you are abused. But I have found that people have said things to me that has been more draining,
Mm-hmm.
took more of the energy out of me. Just the words. When we were growing up, I know I'm hearing a feedback, and I don't know why, because I don't have any gadgets on. Um,
Oh,
they,
maybe it's
yeah,
my Facebook. Let me come out.
okay.
You
Let
still
me
here?
see. No, I'm not.
Okay.
Okay. So there was a time that growing up, they had this saying,
Mm-hmm.
sticks and stone can break my bones, but words can't do me no harm. Do
So
you
word,
remember that?
yeah, that's just a beautiful cliche. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can do me more harm, is what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes when we heal from the physical trauma of the stones, the words are still piercing our hearts, right? Still breaking up our hearts for many, many years until we come to a place of realizing that we're not those words. But if over a continued period you're hearing the same thing repeatedly,
We
psychologically
come to a place of realizing that we're not those words.
believe
But
you
if
are
over
those
a
words.
continued period you're hearing the same.
So yeah, so the words can do more harms than the stones. So
I
that
feel that I feel that way. And I have heard people call people dumb.
yeah,
You're so ignorant, you're dumb, you're stupid. Could you imagine when those words pierce through your heart
yeah,
and you start
absolutely.
to think about it and it brings those tears to your eyes? You are
Hmm.
abused.
Yeah, that is psychological
Idiot, as
abuse.
Paula
Yeah,
just said, they call you an idiot.
absolutely. And
You're
that
in
is
a relationship and
abuse.
the person is calling you an idiot. You're
Hmm.
stupid. So then how words can do you no harm?
it can do you so much harm. And, as you spoke about love, what does that have to do with love? It has nothing to do with love. But if you love the person, then you would then take that word as being life and try to somehow change that behavior or change your look. Whatever it is they're saying to you, you're trying to conform to their way of being so that you could continue loving them or they can continue loving you in a healthy manner. So the abusee is always thinking about, how can I correct this problem, right? Because there is love, this dynamic of love in the relationship, they're thinking about, if they're feeling this way, then there must be something on my part that I need to correct so that we could live in a loving and healthy manner. So it's not a quick fix that, oh yeah, they see the problem, they're being hurt, they're being abused, they need to run. It's not that quick fix. It's, I am trying to figure this out. I am trying to mend this relationship. I am trying to build this relationship. I am trying to work with what this person is perceiving I am to fix me to become a better partner.
Most abusers refuse to believe they need help. And why is the question Paula asks.
So it's not cut and dry. There are so many reasons. It could be economical, right? So if you don't have the finances to escape, you may be thinking, yes, I need to get out of this. But if I don't have the finances to escape to a safe situation, then I'm stuck, right? So economical factors play a big role in people leaving, even though they know that they're in harm's way. If they don't have the resources, they will stay, more than likely stay, right? Education has so much to do with why a person will remain in a relationship as well. Because if they can't get a job, it boils down to the economical factor as well. If they can't get a job to sustain a family, especially if there's children involved, because of the education level, they will not leave.
But do you believe that maybe that's why they continue getting the abuse, because the abuser know that they have nowhere to go?
Absolutely.
That's one of it. But
That's
when they have some place to go, but they're not leaving, do you think maybe part of it is shame, embarrassment?
There are many factors. Yes, it can be shame. What will my culture say, right? Culture plays a big role because, I spoke highly of this person and this person shows a great front in front of everyone, in front of family. And it could be cultural dynamics, depends on where you're from, that, divorce or separation is seen as shame upon the family. So I am going to stay in this abuse then to bring shame upon my entire family, right? So it could be cultural. It could be that this person just don't want to continue repairing the relationship. As much as you say that it's time to run, if they're not near death, they would rather stay and fix it so that no one can say that I didn't try, right? That I'm the one that's breaking up this family if there are children involved or this relationship. I would much rather stay and try and try and try again until this relationship is healed. There's hope in the healing, not in the escaping.
As Tanika said, I believe they don't want to accept that what they are doing is considered abuse because that is what they are used to. It could be what they feel is normal.
Absolutely. On both ends, right? On both ends, this could be a normal way of living, right? So if the abusee grew up in a household where they witnessed abuse or was abused, more than likely they will go into a relationship where they will be abused, right? The same thing. The person who's abusing more than likely grew up in a relationship, right? In a household where mother or father abused each other and they witnessed it and they grew up and now they become an abuser.
And what if that those parents can say, we grew up in a loving family? What about sometime the man may have gone into a few relationships where he was abused by these women, for example, or he was hurt so bad that the fourth woman come start getting the blunt of what they came out of or went through, but that's not the way they grew up. What about if that is the case, that person changed over the years based on what they went through and had to live through or living through? Because sometimes a man may come in a woman life, a woman comes into a man life with a lot of secret, a lot of baggage, and it caused them to act a certain way that becomes abusive. Not that they grew up in an abusive home, but because of the lies and what lies underneath that the other person are not aware of, they become abusive.
Yeah, so that's situational, and certainly that can happen where someone can change because of their experiences. And this person may have experienced infidelity, right? And have been traumatized, have been hurt, and don't trust anyone. So it can go both ways in terms of infidelity. It could be that you're the one that's, not being trustworthy in the relationship. Therefore, you're now going to abuse the person because you're thinking because you're doing that, they will also do the same thing. And like you said, it could be that someone could have been in great relationships and the other party, cheated, and so now this person has self-esteem issue. Why did they cheat on me? There's a lot of stresses that's going on. And then they become abusers. But more than likely, the abuse normally occurs in a household where they've witnessed abuse and they grew up abusing that other person.
So it always have to come out of the household, or it can come, as I'm saying, it comes from maybe many relationship that went sour.
It
They're
can,
with
it
you.
can come from anywhere.
Right.
It can
But
come.
what about the one that get in the abuse? When do they know it's time to get up and say it's enough? How do they ever get out of it if they're living with shame? If they're in it and they're thinking about, I don't want to break up this family by taking the kids away, they're staying there, and then the kids now is watching the abuse. The children around is picking up on the fact that my mom or my dad is not treated right. It's now become a pandemic because now it start to rub off on the kids, and they start thinking, this is norm. This is every day. They do it every day. What about when these kids grow up and feel like it's okay to start talking to their friends? It starts in school, because sometimes kids go to school and start acting out. They start telling their friends, oh, leave me to alone. And the way they behave is words they're hearing at home. And they take it out.
So this aggression, right? You're talking about aggression through children. Children, yes, when they experience trauma, they can become very, very aggressive in school. They can be the bully in school, right? They can be the person that gives the love taps really hard. They can be the person that's pulling the girls here and she's saying stop, or pulling the guys here and saying stop, because abuse is on both ends, right? 1 in 4 women are abused, and it says 1 in 7 men are abused. So it can be on both ends. It could be the one that's just holding your neck playfully, right? This is a very delicate area, so no one should be playing with your neck, right? And pretending to strangle you. Take that very seriously, right? It could be just about anything. Withholding money from people, bullying them for their money, that's abuse, right? But when we're talking about in the household and abuse, right? We see it on so many spectrums, right? And it takes everyone for this person to really begin to wake up and realize that I am really in trouble. It takes the children, if there's children in the home, saying, you don't have to take this anymore, right? You can leave, right? It takes that voice. It takes a neighbor, right? Hearing and saying something, being that ear and saying, if you need me, I will call for help for you, right? Just let me know. Just let me know, and I will call the police. Just let me know, right? It takes a family member, right? Speaking to that individual and saying, I know you, and this is not you. I see the abuse. I see how you're on edge. And sometimes it's not physical. Sometimes there are no bruises, but the person is just very anxious, on edge. They've become more depressed, right? And so there are so many signs that we could look for and begin to tell the abusee that we can help you if you want it,
But
right?
what, right, if you want it, because
If you
what
want it.
if the family is saying, this is not you? This is not the person that I know. But you yourself, who is getting abused, have not gotten to that point. So it doesn't matter what a person said to you. You're like you're living in a world of a denial. Because as Tanika says, she's seen a situation where a friend was in a 12-year abusive relationship. And when she got out, she entered a new relationship on the defense and she became the abuser.
Mhm.
Because
That.
now everything become like, for example, if you're accustomed to get fist down and
Mhm.
someone come and talking to you and you're angry and he said, oh man, the minute you see the fist,
Mhm.
you start thinking on what you used to get back then. So it might make you react.
Right. And so one of the things we have to realize too is that when you're living in a domestic violence situation, you develop some mental problems, right? Your mental awareness becomes skewed and you're saying, well, this is my norm, this is my new world, right? So could be that some mental illness was there beforehand, or could be mental illness developed, right? Could be both ways, before or after the
But don't
relationship.
but don't you think it's fair that
Hmm.
that person, until they get help or until they know that they feel like they're over it, before they get into another one? Because sometimes people go into another one to get over the pain. They're looking for that hug, they're looking for that comfort, somebody to just say, I love you. They want to get over it in such a way that they get into one hoping that this one will save them, help them to recover,
Yeah,
but they're not over the pain. Some
that would be
people don't
a
go out.
great,
You
perfect world, right? If we tell everyone, don't go into another relationship, and so we can't. People make their decisions. And if they decide that I am going to try another relationship because I think love is going to come out of it, there is nothing we can do about it. All we can do is to be there to help them in their time of need when they say yes, right? When they say yes. Even to call the police, right? You can say, I'm going to call the police, but you know what? You don't have to press charges if you don't want to. You can be there for that person in that respect because they don't have to press charges, right? They may call the police just to get a little relief in the moment,
Mhm.
but not to press charges. And so we can't tell people how to live their lives. However, it's affecting all of us because it says it's costing us over $37 billion per year in law enforcement, going to these homes, getting overtime, hospitals, resources. There are so many resources being spent, right, on this particular problem that we get to have a voice in it and to do something about it and to just have this conversation like we're having now, right? Having a conversation and talking to people and letting them know that we're aware, that we see, we're here for them. That makes a huge difference, because on that day, so it may not happen that day, it may not happen that year, right? But on that day, whether it be a year from that day, 2 years from that day that you're having these conversations, it's helping them to gain strength, to know that there is someone else there who will be there to support and back me up when I decide to leave this relationship.
Yes, but sometimes the abuser um walk away before the abusee get help. So you even that's even a more damage. It's even more damage because you abused me down to the end, then you turn around and left. So it's like the abusee never gained the strength to walk out and say, this is it. Because one of the problem that I have, as I mentioned to someone, for me, hitting me, I'm not going to tolerate it. The minute that you put your hand on me, then that is not even abuse. That's dangerous in my book. So for you to even try to do that to me, you're not going to get the opportunity. Because I don't think if you walk down the street and somebody come and start fisting you, you're not going to fight back. You're going to fight back. So if you're in a relationship where someone claims they love you, but they're beating you, that is pure confusion right there for me. Because you cannot love somebody and want to hurt them and want to beat them mentally or physically. And I said to someone the other day, when you constantly yell and talk down to a grown person like they are a child, that feeling makes you want to go in your bed and cover up and go to sleep. You talking to somebody you claim you love, a grown person, and you're yelling and screaming, oh, why you do that? And you're a dummy, and the words that coming from their mouth, that it start to make you feel like you're shivering, like you just want to crawl up someplace. How can you turn around the next day and say, I love you, but you get me upset? People argue all the time, but there's certain words that you won't say to somebody that you love.
Mhm.
So I just want to understand, when someone is constantly verbally talking down to you, how in God's world do I get up tomorrow when you hug me and say, I love you? How can I accept that? Or,
Because
or,
heart in the relationship. There is still a heart in the relationship, right? The person that's getting abused always want to go back to the beginning. In the beginning, right, in this relationship, it was beautiful. In the beginning, there may have been sweet talk. In the beginning, there were gifts. In the beginning, there was such a romantic and loving relationship. And so in their memory, they always thinking we get to get back to that place, right?
yes.
If we only get an opportunity to repair this relationship, we can get back to that place. And so there's always that hope in getting back to the place. But it's when it comes to the point where, my God, I realize that this person will kill me if I don't escape, right? That is when the revelation comes, that they say, it's time for me to go. I have to plan an escape out of here, right? And in planning an escape out, it means that you now have to save money, right? You have to think about a safe house that you get to go to. That may be one way to do it. Some people may want to save money and go on their own to another state, another country. Others escape to a safe house. My sister's place is a great place in White Plains. I believe there might be one in Yonkers. If you're here in New York and you're being abused, my sister's place is a great place to go. Uh, it may involve family members helping this individual, right? With a code of saying, if I call you and I mention this word, it means that I am getting abused really badly and I need to get out, right? So the person is in trying to repair the relationship, trying to fix the relationship. But when we give them an escape route, right, that is where we can help them by
Listen,
I know you want it cut and dry, but it's not cut and dry. It's not easy. It's not, it's complex. Certainly we will fix this problem if we say, oh no, you're being abused. You come out and this person gonna go get help. It doesn't work that way.
as Paula say, embracing you in front of family and friends. Abusers,
Embarrassing you, yes.
and
That's
yeah,
it.
but then the funny thing,
And
right?
then embracing you
And then
afterwards, yes.
embracing you, yeah, in front of the same
Yeah.
family. And but sometimes,
Right.
not to make an excuse, but do you think sometimes maybe the abuser need help themselves?
Both of them. They
Hmm.
both need help. And so as a community of people, we get to help both of them, both the abusee and the abuser.
But the abuser have to also recognize that they need help, because sometimes they don't. You need someone on the outside. It cannot be you telling them you need to go get help, because if they're angry and you're the one they're taking it out on, you cannot be the one to tell them you need to go get help. It become an argument because they feel like now you're dissing them. You're trying to diss, like the word, you're trying to diss me, that kind of way. They don't want to hear it from you, but they would listen to someone else. So that's the help. They need to listen to someone else telling them what they're doing is wrong. It's like a child, the mother telling them every day not to do something. Don't do this, don't do it. And then they go outside to another family house and they say, oh, you can't do that. And that's the only time they say, wow, my mom always told me not to do it. And that's when they come back home and realize they're not going to do it no more, because they just realize where they was. Someone came down on them for the same thing. So they realize then the problem is really me. But at times it was, oh, mom, you're so annoying. My mom is so annoying. But when the person tell them that on the outside, it becomes where my mom probably was right then. They need to hear it from someone else.
Absolutely.
Because you know what hurt me is when the abuser just abuse you at home, but when they get in front of a big crowd and your family, they're hugging you in front of the family. It's like a problems say multiple personal disorder. It's something that's going on with that person.
Yeah, it's a mental problem. And they get an opportunity to get some help if we're aware of it and we shine some light on it. But if we're not aware of it and the person that's being abused don't say anything, then the problem continues and it's repeated over and over again.
Well, as someone that I was speaking to and recognized that they're with a gentleman, the problem that he's having with his significant other, same problem with his daughter, same problem with his mother. But when I look at the person's situation, they're coming out of a rough marriage. Do you think maybe that person went into that other relationship too soon before they dealt with the problems that they were dealing with in the marriage?
Well, a lot of the times this problem comes back from childhood, right? So the symptom of trying to fix the problem because my boss is stressing me out, so I come home and I punch you, right, to relieve myself. That's not really fixing the deep internal problems, right? And so oftentimes we have to look at inward and fix that problem, right? So the alcohol and you coming home and abusing the family, the alcohol is not the problem because you're trying to numb out something, some kind of pain that's inside. You're trying to numb that out with the alcohol so that you could function in life. And in trying to do so, you then become abusive to your family. And we get an opportunity to speak to this individual so that they could get some help to deal with their internal problems. Oftentimes they're abused, sexually abused, men and female, male and female, right? Or physically abused, emotionally abused, right? Some psychological abuse went on in the household, and they're just carrying that year after year in and out of relationships and being the abuser because of what they've been through, the traumas that they've been through.
And when other people on the outside can see that that man is a loving person, he's a caring person, you can see the abusive one is saying, yes, he's a nice person. Yes, I can see the good in him. But the problem is the constant talking down to, the constant, I feel that it's becoming more and more verbal abuse than physical. Because some men feel if I hit her, she called the police, I go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say these words, I'm not touching her. So they look at it as he didn't hit me, but the words that he's saying to me is so painful. Can you love somebody, but still verbally, just constantly verbally abusing them? As you say, it can be the abuser have a problem that needs to be resolved, but they're not getting help and they're not accepting the help. So the only thing they do is going from one relationship to another, and every woman say, he did the same thing to me. But he's a loving person.
Or she did the same thing to me. It really doesn't matter, right? That this person is pretentious. The person is trying to control self and others. So they're overpowering the other person, right? It's power and control. So whatever I need to do to control you, I am going to control you because now, because I am controlling you, I feel like I have some level of control in my own life, some level of power in my own life because I feel powerless, right? Most of the times the abuser feels powerless. And so they exert power and control, physical abuse, right? And the mental, like you're saying, the emotional abuse. It could come in so many ways, especially if the person is a homemaker. So I'm not going to give them money to go shopping, to buy groceries, right? I'm going to give them limited funds. I'm going to track their every move, right? I'm going to put a GPS tracker upon them and I can know everywhere they go. I'm going to put a camera in every room in the house so I could track them while I'm at work and I could see exactly what they're doing. I'm going to tell them what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat, right? It can come in so many forms, but what they're trying to do is to be powerful, right? And to gain control. And so they're doing it to this individual who is weaker because of the situation.
Because or who love them, or who they know love them.
Yeah, who loves them, right? But truly, it is not true love because we know love is to love somebody as you love yourself, right? So you will not want this pain to be inflicted upon you, yet you're inflicting it upon someone else.
But what about, as you said, love the person as you love yourself? But if you don't love yourself enough, how can you love that person? What about if that person is struggling to understand or to feel love? But sometimes they just go into relationships to, as you say, as I said earlier, looking for that comfort, that support, but they don't really know how to love.
Right. So that is something that gets to be taught, right? Through many ways. Through when they go to a place of healing. That comes with healing thyself. But if they don't have that consciousness to know that how I'm being treated right now is not love, and they're looking at it as being loved, then there's something wrong with their psyche, right? Something is wrong with their mindset about what love really is. Maybe they've never really experienced love because they grew up in a household that was abusive. So the love was in the abuse, not really understanding the dynamics of love. And that comes with training, right? It comes with somebody coming out of that relationship, coming out from that place, and then being nurtured in a loving environment.
But what if the woman is so loving and nurturing, but no matter what she does, it's still, you ever touch someone and it's like, get away from me. And you say, but I didn't do anything. What did I do? I tried to love him. Hey, baby, what? And you said, but what did I do? And here comes the abusive one is saying, what did I do? I said, hey, baby. Maybe that person is not accustomed to that. Sometimes some people get into relationship and you are too, I heard people say they're too loving. They're not accustomed to it. It's not the norm for them. Because since they leave their household, the only relationship they've been into is abusive relationship, or women who have cheated, women who have done them wrong. That the moment they meet that one person who say, hey, baby, it feels like, what kind of joke is this? Is this real? They're confused. So if you're not accustomed to something, it will never feel normal.
It will never feel normal. But when we frame, when they see love, when it's displayed before them, right, they get to understand that that is normal. But if everyone around them is also dysfunctional, then that is normal. The only way they will get to know and understand is coming out of it, right? Spending some time in conversation. Sometimes when you repeat someone's situation and display it before them, they said, oh, right? A light bulb goes off. And so the more you talk about it and say, you know what, that black eye is not love. Those words I just heard from him or her, that wasn't love. How do you feel about that? Ask somebody how they feel about that, right? How did that make you feel? Sometimes there are little triggers. How does that make you feel, right? Asking somebody, how does that make you feel? It's like, it triggers me because now you're seeing that something is wrong with that conversation, and I've never seen anything wrong with it. That's the way we converse in this household. But now you're posing a question about my normalcy. And so that's a trigger. And I'm like, whoa, okay, maybe this is not normal. Right? But if no light is ever shown on that situation, that will be normal. But when it's not normal, we as a community need to say something about it. Not that we're going to change it right then and there, but it becomes a trigger that, you know what, this is unacceptable and this is not normal. And so let's begin to talk about it.
But we're talking relationship, but there is abuse on the jobs. There abuse in families. There's so much abuse that one person go through sometime in their life that I know someone that I said to her, I realize your pattern
Mm-hmm.
And the pattern has become where this one young lady have gone into relationships after relationship, where I'm talking about older men. And she said to me, I never had the love of a father. I never had love growing up. I never
Mm-hmm.
had nobody tell me they love me until I met this one man. But then the man turned out to be so abusive that all she can think about is, as you said earlier, he always hugged me. He said he loved me. He never heard it before in the family or nowhere else. And it feels so comforting that to walk away from that, they feel that they may never find it again. So they're
Mm-hmm.
holding on to the one true thing that feels real, that they never had before, that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else around them, they're complaining to themselves. I said, when you start telling yourself, this don't feel good, or why you keep doing this to me, or why you keep saying this to me, it don't feels right. You're crying, but you're so embarrassed because see, when you're out in public, they make it look so nice. But
Mm-hmm.
behind closed doors, the abuse starts. So how would you go to those same friends or family and tell them what you're going through when in public you allow him to make them see him as this nice person? That's where the confusion, I think, comes in for many people. They become so confused because I already made my family and friends see him as this nice guy when we're in public. So who's going to listen to you when you start telling them how dangerous she or he is? Because
Mm-hmm.
everybody's saying, but he seems so nice. He acts so nice. And he buy you the lavish gifts so
Mm-hmm.
the family can see all this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't watch it, when you start complaining, then the family say maybe you're the problem
Mm-hmm.
because this man is doing all this great stuff. So they
Mm-hmm.
know how to cover up the wounds.
Mm-hmm. And I will say to that person who has family and friends that will not listen to you is to really find your escape plan. Find an agency that will help you, that will listen to you. Sometimes you just need the voice, and sometimes it's not the family, right? To bring your family involved in a situation where they're going to stay in the situation, the family may not listen. And as you said, the presentation looks so good. So they really can't understand what it is you're saying, what it is you're experiencing. They may think that you are complaining, you don't value what you have, but you know exactly what you're getting is not what you signed up for. And so because you're not crazy, I invite you to really reach out to any domestic violence centers in your community, just so that you could have a conversation with an expert, just so that you could begin to have a plan if, in fact, you need to escape from that place, because it is real. And so that's one of the things, like you said, families can begin to listen to someone who's saying, I am being abused, and not be judgmental, but really just to listen and say, yes, I acknowledge what you're saying, and I am here for you. That is vitally important for you to believe someone who's telling you that I am being abused, right? You may not see it physically, but it could be verbally, it could be financially, right? It could be that they're poking them in the armpits or under their feet, right? Where no one can see the webs of their hands. It could be anywhere, right? But you just acknowledge them and say, yes, I am aware. I'm aware and I'm here to help you. I am on the outside of your situation. So whenever you need me, I will be here to help you. And that is the support that we could give to someone who's being abused. And in terms of the person who's abusive, we can also support them the same way, right? To let them know that what they're doing is unhealthy, right? Don't say it's unhealthy, but say how do you feel, hurting someone if the person is being bruised up? How do you think those words would make you feel if they're said to you? How would you feel that you cannot get on a train because you have no money if you were feeling stuck or if you had to go for an appointment that you needed help for yourself? How do you feel about those things? So, to reverse that conversation, just asking them those questions. They may not have to know that you know everything about what is going on, about what they're doing, but just reversing that conversation and say, how do you feel if someone would take all your money and not give you, $2, $2.50 to ride a train or the bus? How would you feel?
Well, Paula says sometimes the abuser have no feeling, so they wouldn't care.
Everyone has feelings. And the more we bring it up and let people know we're aware and we're not going to stand by and let this happen, right? Because it's costing us $37 billion per year. So we may think this doesn't affect us. It's affecting all of us. We're working hard for this, right? To give all these resources out instead of giving these resources to mental illness, really to heal these people and to help them. We're giving it out to the 911 calls that will come through, or the ambulance call, right, that will come through. So we're paying it out. We're paying for this over $37 billion per year for domestic violence. It's costing us daily. And so if someone has become desensitized and not know that what they're doing to another human being is toxic and it's harmful, then we get to shine a light on that. We get to let them know that what they're doing is harmful to another person.
But I have seen the same abuser
Mm-hmm.
leave that relationship, go with someone else, and that person don't see no sign of what you're talking about. They look at you like you're crazy. That's not him. I never seen him. He never did that. You're lying. You're crazy. You're just jealous because he left you. Because now we go into another relationship and he's a sweetheart. And I guess he starts every relationship the same way until he becomes comfortable or until she becomes comfortable. Because women are abusers too.
Women
When
are.
you're hurting, you cannot start a new relationship when you're hurting. If you're hurting, maybe that's the time you need to yourself, to look into yourself. The problem might not have been you, but you're hurting. So deep down inside, you need that time away to find yourself, to love yourself again, to tell yourself you will not tolerate that again. If not, you go right back into another one and you will start accepting the same thing because you really haven't got over what you've been through. You're still hurting. So if pain comes your way, you're not going to know how to deal with nothing else other than pain because you never had the opportunity to know love and to understand it. Sometimes people say, why are you alone? You have to set boundaries. You have to know what you will accept and what you won't accept. And the minute you see it, I think a lot of times people are in this relationship. And for example, the man is so fine. Everybody wants him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not letting him go because I know somebody is going to pick him up right away. And you doing all this cooking and cleaning and doing all that you're doing because he already told you what he'd been through with the last one. She wouldn't cook, she wouldn't clean, she wouldn't sew my pants. So you start sewing every pants now. You're doing everything because you say, I'm going to prove to him I'm different. I want to make him feel so special. So you start doing all these things that you wouldn't even do for yourself. You got to love yourself first. You got to
Mhm.
love yourself enough to know it's hot. I'm going to come home and cook some soup. But no, you wouldn't do it for you. But the minute you get into a relationship, he start telling you all that he been through. So you know what? You're going to come home and cook that soup because you want to make him feel so special. But do he deserve to feel that special? Because maybe he don't even know what that feels like. So even when you're doing it, you're saying, um, after all he been through, I'm here trying to do what the others didn't do, and he's
Mhm.
still treating me that way. But maybe he don't know what true love is.
Mhm. Yes, we all have to get to a point of really understanding ourselves and loving ourselves, right? And like you said, even on the job, a boss can be abusive, right? A boss can be a yeller, screamer, uh, not really promoting you because of so many different things. It could happen in so many ways, but it's up to the individual to stand up. Sometimes we're fearful that we're going to lose our jobs, but we get to stand up and say, I will not tolerate yelling, right? You can talk to your supervisor and say, the tone in which you're speaking with me right now, I don't feel comfortable, right? Once you don't feel comfortable, then that person gets to change how they're speaking with you.
But
And
what if your boss is getting abused at home and you don't know? So he comes to work with all that anger and takes it out on you.
no, don't tolerate that. And it's the same like an abuser going into a relationship where the male or the female would never tolerate the abuse and they change. They don't abuse them because that individual will not tolerate it. It's when you begin to tolerate it and say, it's going to get better. It doesn't get better. So the first time you see it, make a note of it, journal it, the date, the time, what occurred, right? And if that should happen again, then you will find a pattern, right? More than likely, you will find a pattern of abuse. And so you have to begin to see it, realize it, and then get out of it because it doesn't get better.
But it I'm not trying to make an excuse for an abuser, but what if the abuser himself just or herself just went from one to the next, didn't take a break, but they needed help that could have helped them to become a better person for the next person. I know of a situation where the man left the woman broken. He was very abusive in a lot of ways. He walked away, but when he walked out of that house, he walked into another one house. So you're
Yes,
still angry with the one you left. You're still
and more
bitter.
than likely, you'll get the same thing. You'll get the very same thing, more than likely, because there was no healing, right? Whatever that deep pain is, whether you were abandoned, whether you were rejected, whether you were abused physically, emotionally, whatever it was that you're carrying, that baggage that you're carrying doesn't leave until you stop to take care of it, to unload it by getting help, by getting the healing. So you can go from one relationship to the next relationship hoping that it's going to be better, but it doesn't get better
Because
until you
until you
really
change
spend
yourself.
some time to change. Yeah,
And as the question is, explain why the abuser like to control your every move and isolate you from your family and friends.
because they feel weak and powerless, and by controlling another human being, they gain some power. That is the only way they feel strong, by controlling and overpowering another human being. because their
some
power was taken away somewhere down the line.
and I always think too, there was a situation where you isolate them from the friends.
Mhm.
I had a situation where a young lady and I was very close. We're like sisters, and she's watching. And the gentleman did everything in his power to separate us because, for one, he feel that if I'm not around to give her the guidance, the love, the support, she become weak and she
Mhm.
depend on him.
Mhm.
He apologized, but I couldn't understand the apology because you make sure that you separate her from the people close to her who care, who's going to be there, who's going to see the abuse he's giving to her and step in. So when she have nobody, then he become the strong one now,
Mhm.
because now you have no one to help you. Sometimes they want to strip you of everything and everybody close to you who bring you happiness.
Well, it's the same. Stripping you of your identity is taking your power, right? Stripping you of family support is taking your power. Stripping you of your friendships is taking your power, right? They'll strip you all the way down. So it'll start great. The flowers, the dates, the dinners, the walk in the park, the gifts. And once you're in, the abuse begins, right? If you're with an abuser, you know what? That person is not that nice. It normally comes off of that person is trying to get between our relationship. That person is trying to control you. Why do they have to talk to you so much?
You
Right?
mean that's what the abuser is saying to
That's
the
what they'll say. Yeah. And
okay.
you're thinking, oh, yeah, you know what? Maybe. Right? So you stop calling as often. And then you stop calling altogether. Even your mother, your father, your siblings, you stop seeing them. And that's your support. That's your power. So it's to get you into isolation, to overpower you. So those are signs to look for. When somebody begins to find fault with everything that's going on in your life that was normal to you, now it's becoming abnormal, they're seeing some fault in it. It means that they're trying to take your identity, trying to take your power. So that is very important to be aware of. And they started off very nicely, right? With the great dates, with sending you flowers, with the gifts, right? With the love talks,
And little by little stripping you
you down.
without you even recognizing it.
Absolutely. But you must recognize it because you have to maintain a normal life. Whatever it is you're doing now in terms of your support system, that shouldn't go away because you're in a relationship. You should still have a great sister friend or a man friend, right? Because abuse is both male and female. You should still have those friends. And sometimes you have both friends, a male and a female. And so the guy may say, they'll start with their sex. I don't want you talking to any more girls, if it's the abuser is a female. You say, I don't want you to talk to any other female. You got to get rid of those things. And if the male abuser will say the same thing, I don't want you to talk to any more males. I'm the source. So it'll go that with the sex, then it'll go with the family and with the friends. Then you'll have no one
But them.
but them. Yeah,
And who do you cry to? Them. Who do
right.
you talk to? Them.
Mhm.
And they look at you like the biggest fool and you don't even recognize it. I had friends that I said to all the time, I know when you're in love,
Mhm.
because they just change. You don't hear from them anymore. They're so busy caught up. Well, me and him, me and him, me and him, me and him, that you wonder you'll never need a friend again. And
Mhm.
the only time they need a friend is when that abuser is either gone or they can't take it no more.
Mhm.
And sometimes they turn around, they lose the friends too.
Mhm.
But a true friend, a true friend
Yeah, keep
When
the
you
phone open. Absolutely.
you have to. And let me ask you a question here. We go into social service
Mhm.
here, whether it's my expertise or yours, but you have a here in this work where we call social service, where people are going out every day, and you have your job to do, to either bring home, take away families, split away kids from the family. A situation where the mother is fighting to get the kids back. The mother is not an alcoholic, not an abuser. They have nothing other than what the man is saying. Oh, I want my kids. Now you have where they found the marks on the daughter,
Mhm.
okay, and they took the daughter and put the daughter into the system, and the mother is saying, "Give me my child."
Mhm.
But the social service put this child into the system. The poor child is crying, "I need my mother. I want my mother." Okay? But they give the little boy back to the father.
Mhm.
Why would you put a child into the arms of a father that you took a daughter from, that with marks all over, that you feel is getting abused? Now,
Mhm.
that is another form of abuse for me, because mentally you're messing with the mind of that young child.
Mhm.
Why would social service put a child into the system when a child has a mother and a grandmother and everybody that's saying, "Give me the child, we'll take care of the child"?
Mhm.
So you see, when it comes to breaking down and talking about emotional,
Mhm.
sometimes parents help to break some of us down, whether it's male or female.
Mhm. And in social services, they usually go case by case. So it's not usually just cut and dry where we can say, oh, because, they didn't get one kid, the father didn't get one child, the father shouldn't get the second child. So it's usually case by case. And if the child can communicate, they would normally communicate with that child before making their decisions. So it's really a case by case basis. It's not a cut and dry that the mother should get the child because she's the best nurturer. Fathers are very good nurturers as well, and
But if you
social.
find, but I used to thought that when you find a child being abused, good evening, Josephine Kelly, when you find a child being abused by the father, for
Hmm.
example, you have one child you find with abuse, they used to take the other kids.
If one child is abused, they will normally take all of the children. If they find that there is a parent abusing the child, they will
Yes,
normally take everyone out of that relationship. So if they're leaving a child, it has to be there's some missing information to the case, and that's why they're making that judgment to say leave the child in that situation. They're not out for leaving children in situations
that's why
that
I'm
harm them.
that's where I'm very confused about this whole situation. And we're talking about abuse on every
Yeah,
level.
we're missing some of the information. Some of the information is missing. You're not getting all of the information. So the person
Absolutely.
may not be sharing everything with you. And they always say there's two sides to every story. There's normally like three sides to the story, right? So this is a child scenario, the parent, the mother, and the father. Three scenarios that we get to listen to.
Well,
And
we're talking about
judge probably listen to the child and get a different scenarios before they make that decision to say, I'm gonna leave this child here, right? My battery is running low, Avril. I got
every.
cut out.
That's right. We got to say we have brought some information tonight
Uh-huh.
that this is just a little tweak into
Yeah.
abuse, because a lot of times we wait until is mental month, or a domestic month, or something to talk about these issues, but it's happening every day. We have to address them. We're here with Marva Dolphin and Av on the Avril Show, and we're going to be coming back to talk about more situation in relationship and so much more to help us as a human being. Marva, you did a great job. And for those who are out there, share this information, and we hope that someone learn something tonight about it. If you're in an abusive relationship, it is said, speak to someone, stop being silent, because silence is a killer.
Yeah,
And that's the word for tonight.
I just want to leave this number with anyone who is in an abusive situation: 1-800-799-SAFE, SAFE, or it could be 7233. 1-800-799-7233. If you're Spanish speaking, there is another number: 888-568-8332.
Repeat
888
that.
888-568-8332. So please get some help. Help is available to you. Don't hesitate, even if it's just for a conversation, right? You may not be ready to leave, but to have a conversation so that you could prepare a plan for the appointed time when you're making your exit.
Thank you so much, Marva.
You're welcome. Take
And
care.
I hope tonight we become better and stronger women or men out there after you hear certain things. Look into yourself and ask yourself, is this happening to you? Is these some of the things that I've been through? Ask yourself this question. And if you can say yes, you are in an abusive situation. I'm asking you to get help, my people, and stop being afraid to speak. You must have one good friend that you could confide in if you're getting abused or if you're feeling hurt. Don't hurt yourself from the hurt that you're getting. Hurt yourself by screaming in the ears of Avril. Let's talk about this. This is the Avril Show. We thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to speaking with you again on the topic of abuse. Good night. Love you.